How's it going, everyone, and welcome to my newest modded Skyrim build, the Hist Priest. The Hist Priest is an Argonian hailing from the swamps of Blackmarsh. He is not only a strong believer and worshipper of the Hist trees, but has learned the practice of focusing the power and magic of the trees into his mind and spirit. As always, there are timestamps in the description so you guys can navigate to different parts of the video, but without further ado, let's get into the stats of the build. As mentioned, the build is an Argonian, which is going to give him a 50% resistance to disease, as well as allowing him to breathe underwater. He's also going to get the power Hist skin, which is going to allow him to regenerate health very fast for 60 seconds once per day. As an Argonian, you're also going to get bonuses to both alteration and restoration, which are going to be playing a really big part in this build. For a standing stone, I would highly recommend the Atronach stone. Because this build is going to be using little to no armor, the Atronach stone is going to be really useful. It's going to give you 50 points of magicka to your magicka pool, and it's also going to give you a 50% magicka absorption, but it's going to decrease your magicka regeneration by 50%. However, if you want to give this build a more cool aesthetic, then I would definitely recommend going for the Serpent Stone, which will allow you to paralyze a target once per day. The Hist Priest is a man of peace and will only draw his blade when necessary. He is simply a man of his word, and one of his only goals is to spread the Hist knowledge to anyone of interest. He was born and raised in Blackmarsh in the settlement of Mirkwood. He had a mother who owned the most successful shop in the market, mainly selling clothes and jewelry, a family tradition of her bloodline. His father, however, had worked in and out of the local temple as a Hist Priest. The Hist Priest was around his father a lot and was deeply inspired by what his father had taught him and many others in the temple. As the Hist Priest grew older, he followed along in his father's footsteps, practicing and meditating inside of the temple and even around the Hist trees themselves. At one point, the Hist Priest decided to leave Mirkwood and go out on his own to teach the ways of the Hist to the uneducated and poor. Before his departure, his father had given him a blade to keep him safe in the marsh, which was forged by his grandfather. Later on in life, his mother and father became ill and passed away soon after. After their passing, he decided to follow his father's legacy as a Hist Priest and take his place in the temple. Many adored the Hist Priest's teachings, but there were others that did not, as they felt that his father shouldn't have been replaced. Eventually, he was framed for murder of the Hist Priest Jalara Khan and sharing the secrets of the Hist with outsiders, which stood as a betrayal to his people. He was banished from Mirkwood and was forced to wander Blackmarsh alone. He wasn't allowed into any of the cities, and attempts were even made by mercenaries to kill the Hist Priest. This made him violent as he slaughtered many unfriendly Argonians that he had come across, eventually forcing him to leave Blackmarsh. After the ordeal, the Hist Priest became nomadic, traveling from Cyrodiil to Morrowind in between, and sharing his knowledge of the Hist to other Argonians as well as many other races who were interested. He learned new skills from many that he had come across in his journeys, but was poor and hopeless. However, he was unlucky enough to cross paths with the border of Skyrim, as he was caught in an Imperial ambush, accused of Stormcloak involvement, and was taken to Helgen for execution. After his escape, he finds out that he is Dragonborn after he slays his first dragon. He has little interest in trying to return to his homeland of Blackmarsh and will traverse Skyrim and beyond, spreading his knowledge of the Hist. He will join the College of Winterhold to further master the arts of healing and manipulation magic, and with his Dragonborn abilities, he vows to stand up to the Dragon Menace so that all of Tamriel shall stay at peace. As mentioned, the Hist Priest will be joining the College of Winterhold to further master his arcane abilities. He will also be joining the Dawnguard in the Dawnguard DLC, as he wishes to destroy all evil instead of helping it. For the gear and magic, the gear that this build is going to be using is the Battle Mage robes from the Lynn's Standalone Robes Pack mod, as well as the Green Hood from the Craftable Monk Hoods mod. You can also wear a ring and necklace along with this armor, and if you do plan on enchanting your armor, then I would definitely suggest enchanting them with Fortify Magicka, Destruction, Restoration, and Alteration, which will all benefit your spells. For the boots, you can use any sort of normal mage boots, but I am personally using leather boots as it does add a bit of armor to the build. For magic, you should start off using the Lightning Bolt and Healing spells, as well as the Poison Ball spell from the Poison Spells for Destruction mod, and then later in the game you should get Thunderbolt, Close Wounds, as well as Poison Bolt, Poison Cloak, and Poison Spray also from the Poison Spells for Destruction mod. Because poison doesn't work on all enemies, lightning is going to be a really good primary destruction element, and poison is going to be something you're going to use to degrade an enemy's life force. I chose poison as an element of destruction for the Hist Priest mainly because I think it gives a really cool aesthetic to the build, as if you are channeling the power of the Hist into a weapon. The main skills that this build is going to be utilizing are Restoration, Alteration, Destruction, One-Handed, and Enchanting. For the perks that you're going to be taking for each skill, for Restoration, take Novice Restoration all the way up up to Adept Restoration to get the Closed Wound spell. On the first tree, take Respite, so healing spells also regenerate your stamina to fuel power attacks. On the second tree, take Regeneration, and on the fifth tree, take both ranks of Recovery as well as Avoid Death. For Alteration, take Novice Alteration all the way up to Expert Alteration to get the Ebony Flesh and Paralyze spells, and on your way up through the middle tree, take Magic Resistance, Stability, and Atronach. The Atronach perk combined with the Atronach Stone is going to make you near unstoppable, as you are going to absorb 80% of all spells that hit you. For Destruction, take Novice Destruction all the way up to Expert Destruction to get the Thunderbolt spell, while using the Lightning Bolt spell beforehand, and on the Lightning tree, take Augmented Shock and Disintegrate, and on the Poison tree, from the Poison spells for Destruction mod, take the Augmented Poison and Paralyze perks. For one-handed, take Armsman, Fighting Stance, Critical Charge, Savage Strike, and if you do plan on getting your one-handed to 100, then you do have the option of getting the Paralyzing Strike perk. For enchanting, the entire enchanting tree is eligible unless you only plan on putting lightning enchantments on your weapon. Then the fire and frost enchanter perks are going to be the only ones that you aren't really going to be using. But anyway, that is going to wrap it up for the Hist Priest build. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and until then, I'll be seeing all of you next time.